See where we are. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing today? If you don't mind, this is the first time I'm actually doing this via StreamYard, having one of these kind of private webinars. If you don't mind, kind of chime in, say hello where you're tuning in from, as well as I'm kind of curious about what you're looking to get out of today. I have an idea of kind of where I want to start, where I want to go, but I'm finding out the more I do these workshops, the more I do these seminars, it always makes sense when I always ask the people that are actually in the room what they're looking to get out of the day. So if you don't mind, chime in, say good morning. Good morning, Jeremy. How you doing? Can see and hear you. I love that. Yeah. So again, I've been trying to kind of do these off record, not utilizing a presentation, because I think what we're going to go over today, it's what we're communicating is much more important than kind of the slides that are kind of holding us back. So if you don't mind, chime in, say hello, where are you tuning in from, and also what you're looking to get out of today. We'll wait for a couple more minutes. But in the meantime, yeah, I think this is a good opportunity. And the whole point of kind of today, what we're doing today, is really to kind of covering some common knowledge, but actually use that and turn it to common application as we navigate these uncertain times. It's very challenging out there. So we're going to wait about a couple more seconds, and then we're going to get this kicked off and I'll kind of go over the top 3 things I want to cover today. Good morning, Ali. Good seeing you. And I'm going to cover kind of the top 3 things that I feel that are good, that'll be good takeaways. But as well, if you want to chime in again, what you are kind of curious about, I wish I could see everyone on here. I think this is the first time I'm utilizing the StreamYard. Maybe another time I'm going to do a Google Meet where I can actually see faces, or am I just talking to myself? All right. And again, if you have any questions, comments, or you just want to kind of chime in and you're curious about something, either put that in the comments, or we can kind of stick around after, kind of work through some certain situations you may be in. But at the end of the day, listen, I respect your time as you tuned in at 11 o'clock. So let's kind of get this kicked off. My goal today is, number 1, to help you find your confidence and diving into actually what that confidence is, what it looks like, and what it actually means to you. The next thing I want to talk about is how to communicate more effectively, how to communicate with others that moves past the transactional conversations that we're kind of plagued with in a lot of industries, whether you're tuning this oil and gas or whether you're tuning this in another industry, how to communicate on a more authentic, genuine level versus transactional. And the third thing I want to cover is kind of how to continue to build your skill sets. Listen, I think our industry, I think a lot of industries have kind of taken personal development, professional development, and have put that on the back burner. And I'm here to say no more, because right now, if you're not investing in yourself, you will probably be left behind, because this world is changing so dramatically, so rapidly, and that's what we're going to get into. And again, if you're just tuning in, please say hello. And also, please, if you're here for one specific thing, or you're just kind of here to get an idea about something, chime in and kind of what you're looking to take away from this live training. All right. And how it's going to go today, I'm going to start off with, I like using this whiteboard. It kind of keeps me energized, kind of keeps me in the moment. But I think what I'm going to do today, I'm going to kind of start off with the context of kind of where we're all at and actually kind of where this industry and a lot of industries are shifting to, and then give you some practical skills that you can actually use to actually not just build your networks, but I want you to communicate your value, and as well as I want you to have the mindset that you can actually take on uncomfortable challenges and situations in life and do that with confidence, okay? So that's kind of the main goal of this. At the end of the day, right now, my personal platform, and I believe this so much that's why I'm kind of doing this, and that's what I'm basing a lot of kind of my reaching out to companies. I feel that with the rapid rise of AI, with automation, with this constant workforce reductions, with this hyper connected world we live in. Think about it. We have a lot of different followers, connections on LinkedIn, on other social media platforms, but how connected are we really in person? I think this has shifted drastically over the past 5 years since COVID. And I personally believe that it's going to be our ability to connect and communicate and converse and influence and be a leader in whenever we are put in these situations that's really going to separate you from the rest out there. And right now, in this day and age, whether you like it or not, it's all about differentiating yourself. And I think one good way to differentiate yourself is with attitude and confidence. So starting off, if we can chime in, we got a comment? I'll take, nope, no comment. No comment. That's okay. But if you want to leave a comment, please go ahead. I'm all about that. All right. So at the end of the day, what is confidence to every single person out there? It's such a, and I had a tough time actually before I came on and started having this training session, because I was thinking, hey, listen, at the end of the day, is this all just fluff? Like what I'm talking about with confidence, like I feel strongly and I'm feel convicted about it to help others out there. But again, that imposter syndrome comes up, the feeling that I'm not comfortable when I'm talking about, feeling insecure. But at the end of the day, that's what builds confidence. So my thing is, though, is this relevant to kind of everyone out there, what everyone else is facing right now? I think absolutely it is. That's why I'm glad you're here today. So at the end of the day, think about what confidence is to you, right? What is confidence? Okay. And listen, this is not going to be theory and fluff. All right. I think this is an important, good place to start right now. So what is confidence out there for everyone right now? Confidence for me is not, and again, this is something I dive into with students, with teams, whether leadership teams or sales teams. Confidence is not just the ability of thinking, hey, I'm going to go in this room, I'm going to go in this room, I'm going to this presentation, I'm going to go deliver this pitch, I'm going to go do whatever, and I'm going to crush it right off the bat. That is not confidence. Let me get this banner off the screen real quick, if you don't mind. There we go. To me, that's not confidence. Confidence is showing up, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, and being comfortable with the outcome. So it takes two parts in confidence. The first part is your action, okay? There's only two things we can control in this world. That's our action and our mindset. The first step is the action. The first step, so my question for you out there, everyone has the workbook, and I'm going to loosely go off the workbook a little bit. But my question for you out there is, what action or what area in your career, in your path, that you know you could probably kind of do a little bit more to get better results? For some people, that might be cold calling. For other people, that might be actually finding a networking event and getting out there and building your network a little bit. But there's certain areas in kind of our paths and our lives where we're kind of like, we're pausing a little bit and we do other stuff first, and we're holding off on actually taking action on making those calls or stepping in that room with a bunch of strangers to build your network. So number one, it's taking action. It's finding areas of uncomfortness that you're not really kind of certain that you want to dive into, and really just kind of just showing up, okay? Showing up. Whether you know how the result's going to be or whether you don't know how the result's going to be, whether you want to do it, whether you don't want to do it. How many people like giving public presentations? Nobody. All right. Nobody likes public speaking. All right. At the end of the day, what's interesting is that more people are scared to be eaten by a shark than they are to give public presentations. All right. So vice versa. So more people are scared to give public presentations than be eaten by a shark. That's kind of what I want to get to. This is live, so go with me. We're not going to be editing this. So that fear, like I give a lot of public seminars to groups, to students, to teams, and all that stuff. Even before I gave this, I have a lot of nerves. I have a lot of hesitancy in me. So at the end of the day, it's still putting myself in this situation and showing up regardless. All right. And the second thing that's key is what you control is your mindset, your thoughts. And this is one of those things where I want you to think about this and really think about how you can apply this to every aspect of your life, all right? Whether it's your career, whether it's personal, whether it's your friend group, it doesn't matter. What mindset do you have for you walk in that room, or whether it's a presentation, whether it's a board meeting? And this is a very interesting thing that I like talking about. I heard one story, I think it was Tony Robbins, when he was actually speaking and coaching like two singers, two very famous singers. And one singer had, he walked in, and she was very nervous to go on stage. He goes, hey, what's going on? She goes, hey, listen, before I go on stage, my heart starts pounding, my breath starts getting a little bit short, I start sweating, I kind of get tunnel vision, and I just kind of start, kind of clamming up. I just know, like, I know I can't go on stage. Okay, well, he talked to the next famous person who was a singer and a very famous singer, and they gave the same physical responses. My heart started. He's like, hey, when are you ready to go on stage? Like, my heart starts racing, my hands get clammy, I start getting tunnel vision. Then when I know I really shouldn't do this, that's when I know I'm ready to go on stage. So do you understand the mindset behind that? One looked at everything that was going on internally with him, all right, and said, you know what, this is too much for me. I'm not ready to take this step. The other person looked at the same physical stressors, the same physical responses to the stressful situation, and actually said, hey, this is when I know I'm ready to get out there, right? So it's that mindset. It's that mindset of turning that anxiety, that anticipation, all those nerves, and really turning that into action and showing up, right? So your mindset really is kind of turning that anxiety into action, right? And when I do this, when I've noticed this, whenever I speak in front of a group of students, or when I speak in front of a team and all that stuff, I notice that when I'm anxious and I don't step in that mindset of being excited about getting out there, or I'm not passionate about my message, my message falls flat. All right. If you can reframe your anxiety and your anxiousness into excitement and listen, and also acceptance. I recently did a jujitsu competition, something that's outside my comfort zone that I don't even like doing. I never did professional sports or did anything like that. However, I practice what I preach, and I knew that, hey, listen, I'm going to get out there. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't feel comfortable. My nerves are kind of going through the roof. I have adrenaline up and all that stuff. However, if I can accept the fact that it doesn't matter if I win or lose or draw, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter the outcome, right? And think about this, whether it's a presentation or a pitch or anything like that. It doesn't matter the outcome of what you're doing, but if you're showing up there, if you're taking action, showing up, and you're taking those anxious feelings and being excited about it, and you accepting the fact that it doesn't matter what happens at the end of this, whether it's a jiu-jitsu match or the end of this pitch or end of this interview, it doesn't matter what that is. If you're showing up and accepting just kind of you being there and, hey, I'm going to give it my best, I'm going to be excited about this, I'm not going to hold myself back, that is one step to you actually kind of putting yourself in more uncomfortable situations for you to grow your confidence, for you to grow your skill sets, right? All right. So in confidence, it really comes down to two things you can control: your actions, and at the end of the day, that's showing up. That's showing up, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. So whether it's a job interview, oh, I really don't know what I'm going to say or how I'm going to answer this. And if you're curious about job interviews and all that stuff, sidebar meeting, we can kind of going over some story circles to answer the questions, which are a great tool to use. But again, it's showing up. And the second thing is mindset. Number one, you're going to have to do it anyway. You're going to have to sit through that interview, or you're going to have to give that presentation anyway. So either you can go in feeling nervous about it, or you can go in feeling confident and positive about it. As humans, we have over 85,000 thoughts a day. 90% of those are negative thoughts that we tell ourselves. Think about what that happens and how that changes your energy before you enter a room. All right. Think about what the stories you're telling yourself. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. This other person's get this job over me. This person's get a promotion over me. I'm the dumbest one at the table. We tell ourselves the most negative things that we wouldn't even tell our worst enemy, right? Think about that. We are so harsh and such a critic on our own personal self that it stalls us from walking into a room. There's a story that I often share that I was invited to go to a private equities office, right? Like, private equity is one of those things that, again, that's an uncomfortable situation for me because I don't really know private equity. But it was one of those situations where I was asked to walk in this private equity office and have a meeting with them. You know, I was excited about them. It's a world that I kind of want to explore, understand a little bit more, because when I'm working with private operators and service companies, I just want to know the private equity world. Well, I'm sitting there at the base of the lobby and I'm excited about it. The next thing you know, I start second guessing myself. I started telling myself a story. Well, JP, you don't know anything about private equity. Who are you to be in this room? You're not a numbers guy. This is something that's on a different level than you. Stay away from this. I started telling myself this. I started hearing myself tell this story. Well, through my mindset, again, this is self-reflection. We have to do a lot of self-reflection when it comes to personal development. We have to identify our weaknesses. We have to identify the BS stories we tell ourselves on a daily basis. So I was telling myself a BS story that I wasn't ready for this. Immediately, my attitude started changing. What I started telling myself changed. It was, nope, they asked you to be in here. Yeah, you don't know private equity world, but that's okay. You're going to learn something. You're going to walk in that room. It's going to be a great experience for you. Think about the difference of energy, of behavior of me walking in that room. If I was scared, nervous, uncomfortable, really not sure of myself or confident, or walking in the room, having that confidence, having that pep talk, and just saying, hey, listen, regardless if I know private equity or not, I'm going to walk in there. I'm going to just accept the fact I'm going to learn something I didn't know before. So, right? So that energy, and again, that's a story about a situation that happened to me, but think about in your lives before you walk into a stressful situation, before you walk into a job interview, before you walk into a networking event. It doesn't matter where you walk into. Think about how you show up and the words you're telling yourself and the self-talk you're giving yourself and how that actually impacts your energy whenever you're conversing or showing up or giving a presentation. What people perceive of you is what you project. And you don't want to be in a place of projecting nervousness, anxiety, really not trusting yourself, right? Tell yourself a different story. Yeah, this is uncomfortable for me. Yeah, I don't know much about this. Yeah, there's a very heavy competition in this job market, whether that is, but I'm still going to show up and I'm still going to be excited. I'm still going to do the best I can. You want to know why? Because I can do this. I'm unique and I'm an individual and I got this. I'm going to crush this. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to crush it. You have to pump yourself up. You have to be your own cheerleader. So be a coach for yourself. All right? Let's continue with theory, and then let's kind of give some practical things that you can utilize to build your confidence to communicate on a more impactful level and on a more genuine level over a transactional level. All right. So at the end of the day, I personally believe, and again, I've said this before today, and I will always say this, that our ability to connect with each other, influence each other as humans will be much more important as this world shifts to AI, automation, workforce reductions, hyper-connected yet disconnected. Hey, you got to send your resume in, but it's going to go in this big black box, this void that no one's going to look at, right? So how do you stand out? How do you differentiate yourself? And again, that's through soft skills. At the end of the day, and I love this statistic, your soft skills are attributed to 85% of your career success. Think about that. Your ability to influence, your ability to communicate, your ability to connect, your ability to network, your ability to active listening, your ability to have crucial conversations with leadership, with teams that might not be aligned. Those things set true leaders apart. Those things set true individuals apart from everyone else who might be not comfortable doing these things, leading teams, having conversations, influencing, right? But again, soft skills, the beautiful part about soft skills, which I love, again, you look at my stuff from today versus 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it is vastly different. Soft skills, or otherwise known as power skills, are exactly that. It's a skill set, just like golf, just like jujitsu, just like tennis. It can be what? Soft skills can be learned. How you have crucial conversations with someone, let's pretend. All right, let's see. Hold on. Someone just commented here. Great point. Great point how critical soft skills are in influence. Absolutely they are. Thanks. Again, keep chiming in. And if you want to go on a tangent, let's go on a tangent. I'm all about that. So it could be learned. So it's interesting. So crucial conversations. Nobody likes having a difficult conversation with someone. It's confrontational. It's nervous. You're worried about what the other person's going to do. But it is a skill set. There's a way to frame it. There's a way to actually stay on topic, not get lost in the weeds, not get on the blame game, right? Influence, right? Telling stories, leading a presentation. It's not just knowing the data. It's not just knowing the facts. It's communicating the story. It's driving influence. It's driving your team. If you're a new manager and you've got done with an M&A and you have a new team below you with a new culture, these are skill sets, again, that can be learned. What else can they be? Practice, right? Me giving this live training for you, I am practicing my skill set, right? Yes, I still want to improve my skill sets. I'm learning it and I'm practicing it. And at the end of the day, one day, hopefully, like any skill set, it can be mastered. So when you start working on your professional development skill sets, again, this is the cool part about soft skills. It kind of applies to everything else in life. Your relationships with your family, your friends, your boss, subordinates. It can be learned, practiced, and mastered. How to influence, how to listen more than to give advice or communicate. And also like even the art of delegation. There are certain frameworks and skill sets to delegate, to influence, to lead, to drive change, to tell stories, right? And that's kind of about skill sets. And it's also important too. I work with a lot of, I'll tell you what, I herd cats as another part of my job, right? One thing that I often tell students, and again, I think that a lot of professionals are seeing this in this day and age, that at the end of the day, listen, this is what you know over here. This is who you know, okay? Whenever we start our careers, right, it's very important how much we know, right? It's very important to understand what we know. And I often tell students this. Yes, your grades are important, but at the end of the day, that's not the only thing that's going to guarantee your career. We start off knowing a lot, right, about a very specific subject, very technical, right? And a lot of engineers no offense against engineers, love my engineer buddies, But a lot of engineers stay in this. Hey, listen, if I know what I'm talking about the most, then I'm good. My career is going to be very secure. I'm not going to really have to worry about much because I'm going to be the best drilling engineer. I'm going to be the best completions engineer. I'm going to know so much about my subject, right? But what I saw, what happened in COVID? What happened whenever things get locked down, people lose their jobs, right? I saw a lot of really talented people, a lot of really talented engineers out there not be able to find work. They were great engineers, but they couldn't find their next role, right? So as you go in your career, what you know becomes less important than who you know. Okay, and at some point there's a crossroads. I don't know when that is. Again, this is not a scientific, data-driven chart. It's just here to represent an idea, right? What you know starts mattering less and less and less in your career. It all becomes about who you know. I saw a lot of engineers, again, low quality engineers find roles because it all mattered who they knew. They had a great big network. And again, as a part of today, I wanted to show you and teach you how to build a better network that works for you, not just going out there and shooting the bull on that high level transactional surface stuff. I want to teach you how to build your network with intention, but not only that, how to maintain your network and actually extend it beyond the transactional conversations. We're going to dive into that later. So at the end of the day, your confidence in who you know are going to matter more than what you know. Because what? AI is out there, decision-making ability is getting a lot quicker. And think about this. At every crew club round, I host operator focused networking events. At every crew club roundtable out there, we're always talking about AI, right? AI is coming out there. AI is making decisions a lot faster. And that's kind of how a lot of industries are moving, right? AI is being utilized to make a lot of decisions a lot quicker, right? But what's going to be most important for a lot of people? It's going to be able to take those decisions and communicate that to a team to drive change. And that missing part right there, if you don't have the ability to communicate to drive change, again, your soft skills will hold you back. So this is why I'm glad you're here this morning on this October 21st, Tuesday morning, to learn some soft skills. I always say that, your network and your soft skills is like a garden, right? You don't plant it when you're hungry and you're famished and you need the nutrients, right? When you're starving. You plant it and you build it when you have the time, resources, energy, and effort. So the fact you're here right now, the fact you're here to learn something like this, I commend you, because this is where I think this, at the end of the day, these skill sets are going to be a lot more important, and it's going to be a lot more heightened and visible how important these skill sets are moving forward. All right. Like, I know a lot of great teams. I know a lot of great private operators who, they sold their assets and all that stuff, and they're very bright teams, but they are being held back by their inability to communicate their next project's vision to their private equity companies. So again, it doesn't matter where you're at in your career, whether you're a student, whether you're a CEO, if you can't communicate and tell a story and drive change and influence connect, you're going to be held back. So at the current industry, the current world we live in right now, the problem is this: we're all very isolated. Whenever we're isolated, it always breeds insecurity. It breeds a lot of I'm not really certain about things. Okay. Isolation breeds fear, right? There's a lot of workforce reductions. Conoco's letting go, 20% in November? Exxon, Chevron, all these places are shedding people, workforce reduction. That leads a lot of people feeling insecure about their trajectory, about where they're sitting at and where they're going. Okay. So it's a very volatile market right now. All right. It's very transactional. There's not a lot of people taking meetings for a cup of coffee or a lunch or a breakfast unless you know someone, right? We're very hyper connected. I've said this before. We're all connected on, LinkedIn, our phone, social media, and all this stuff. But how many people can we actually pick up the phone and lean on and say, hey, listen, this is kind of going on in my life right now. Hey, I'm kind of challenged with this. I'd really kind of need to get some feedback and advice, right? So again, we are very hyper connected yet disconnected. AI automation, it's making headlines, it's changing how people operate and have roles. So what is that doing? That's leaving a lot of people that are insecure in the roles, kind of where they're at right now. So let's kind of get in the juicy stuff, the good stuff that's taken us 24 minutes to get to. But again, you need to build the framework in order to understand what you need to learn, right? So without the action, without the knowledge of showing up, even in places that you're uncomfortable at and being okay with the outcome, and also telling yourself the right story, not the stories you've been telling yourself that you're not right, you're not the person for the role, or you're not the right guy at the table or anything like that. that's telling yourself the stories that actually inspire you, that motivate you, that coach you up, right? So the 3 confidence levers, okay, let's think about this. As we communicate, I always ask this. When we communicate, and that's why I like staying away from slides too, because it's a good test for me, all right? How often, whenever we are presenting, we stick close to the slides, right? We're sitting close, word for word, right? How often when we're communicating, we're thinking, man, okay, all right, I'm about to have this conversation with John Smith down the hall. I have to say it this way. I have to say it this way. I need to get these words right, this sentence structure correctly. Otherwise, it's going to come across wrong. So think about this. How we communicate, your confidence levers are this. It's your body language. It's your pitch and tone. And your words. Those are the 3 things that we use as human beings to communicate our message, okay? A lot of times we're focused on our words. Well, I get that. Think about that. How much do we communicate via text message, communicate via email, communicate sending memes to each other, right? Whatever that is. Our base of communication in 2025 is heavily on words. But in reality, we only communicate 7% with our words. Think about that. All these decisions that are being done through emails, all these messages that are being sent, that we're texting each other, that's only 7% on how we communicate. How many times have we been in a situation where it's like, man, I didn't mean, that wasn't my tone when I was sending that to you, honey. Like, I was just joking around. Because whenever we're sending a text message, it falls deaf with the words, right? So let's talk about this. If words are only 7% of how we communicate, why are we so hung up on the right words to say? Okay. Think about the leaders we have of this, whether present or historical leaders that have been throughout time. Their ability to move masses is not through the words that they use. It's not through a script that they say. It is how they move their audience. It's how they project their voice. If you look at any great leader, whether it's a great leader or not, a leader, how about that have moved masses, it's usually how they project their message and how they communicate, all right? Your pitch and tone, 38% of how we communicate, 38. So if you're in sales, if you're in a job interview, if you're networking, always try to think of the 3 C's, okay? It's confusion, confidence, you know what? We'll throw in another one. How about that? Think about your pitch and tone utilizing these 4 C's, okay? Whenever I'm either coaching people or maybe I'm talking, whether it's a sales conversation that I'm having or whether it's students or anything like that, try to think about your voice, right? Whenever we go see movies, right, our favorite actors aren't just giving us the line, right? Like, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. This is something else. I owe. Blah, blah, blah. They're not giving a monotone word for word line. They're using their pitch. They're using their tone. They're using their pauses, right? Your voice and how you use your voice is such a crucial instrument for how you drive change, how you influence people. Start playing with your instrument. Start playing with your voice. Start playing with pauses. Start playing with slowing down a little bit whenever you're communicating, all right? And also, you think about these. What do these mean to you? And how would you actually utilize this? So whenever you have a confusion kind of tone, right? What are you confused about? Let's say you're a salesperson trying to talk to a customer, right? And you're not being very clear, or you're trying to make them understand, like, hey, listen, if you don't take this action, you're going to be in the worst situation. So where does that confusion tone, pitch, where does that come up? Or so you're sure, like, so think about this. So if I'm role playing here. So you're sure that you're fine kind of, putting this off until another quarter while you know that you're kind of operating at, 14% less than optimal efficiencies? Do you understand the confusion tone that I'm doing? I'm kind of, why would you not make a decision right now if you know that it's going to help you at some point in the future? I'm like, walk me through that, right? So again, the confused tone, right? Confidence tone, all right? This is whenever you are in an interview, whether you're talking to your team, whatever like that. Are you being confident in your tone, pitch, and delivery? There's two things. There's upspeak there's up inflection and down inflection. Usually when you go with up inflection, you sound very insecure. You sound like you're second guessing, like, oh, wow, I really think this would be a great product for you and your group. Hey, I think we should really move forward with this, right? Do you see how that sounds? Just simple, small things like this can really dictate on kind of how you're coming across. Like using upspeak when you're it makes you sound like you're not really sure versus using downward inflection to your voice. Like that makes a lot more confidence. I believe that this would be the best course of action if you want to move forward. I think that would be the best candidate for your organization. I think that XYZ would make the most sense. Do you see that? Up inflection versus down inflection. Concern. You might, like when you're connecting with someone, or let's say you're at a networking event and they're talking about maybe a challenge in their role or something like that. Like, how do you connect better? It's showing empathy. It's connecting with that person with a little tone. So man, that was really tough time. The first event you came here like that. So did you find parking at all? Or did you actually have to walk all those blocks? Showing concern. You care about the person. You're showing empathy for the person. And then curiosity. I often think that curiosity is one of the best ways to get past the transactional, dig deeper, because you are curious about the person. People always say, hey, listen, when you're at these networking events, I don't know what to say next. I don't know what question to ask. I don't know how to make small talk. The easiest way to make small talk is be curious. Just stay curious with someone. That's how you learn small talk. Body language, 55% on how we communicate, our body language. So whenever you are walking into a networking event, before you even walk in, how are your shoulders? How are your hands? Are you fidgeting? Are you on your phone? Whenever you are talking to someone, do you pull out your phone in the awkward pauses, right? I hope that you don't. Showing, I'm really going to say with the voice. So how you show up, thank you. I love the comments. I probably should not be reading the comments while I'm doing this. But so a couple key things, whether you're in a presentation, an interview, or you walk at a networking event, before you walk in is just as important as how you walk in. All right. So before you walk in or before I give a presentation, I will take some time by myself. I will do something called box breathing. Whenever I don't box breathe, my heart rate starts pounding, my adrenaline starts increasing, and then I start talking in front of people, and I have really short breath, and I don't slow down. So before you get into a high stressful situation, or a situation you do put yourself in these uncomfortable situations, do box breathing. And what's box breathing? Box breathing is the simple art. It's a simple practice of inhaling for 4 seconds, holding 4 seconds, exhaling 4 seconds, and holding 4 seconds. So whenever I get in an uncomfortable situation, actually, I tested this out. I had my second jiu-jitsu tournament, and my whole goal for my second jiu-jitsu tournament was, hey, listen, I want to go there. I've already done my first competition. I've already had that experience. I know the experience. My goal here is to control my mindset. I always practice. I'm trying to practice what I preach. I always tell people, put yourself in these zones, accept the outcome, breathe through it. So I started doing that. And I started finding before I got on the mat, I was so much more calm my second go around than I was my first go around, right? So I started box breathing. I did that for a couple of rounds, and it really slows down your heart rate. It really kind of drops your tempo, your adrenaline, right? It slows you down, so it gives you time to think, right? So again, any uncomfortable situations, it kind of centers you. Another thing that I do before I do a presentation or do a live training like we're doing right now, I do something called the Superman pose, okay? And this looks stupid, and I feel like an idiot whenever I do this, because like if I'm at the petroleum club and I'm about to get on stage, or if I'm somewhere, I'll find a corner, or I'll go to the restroom and I'll stand in front of the mirror, and I will put my hands on my hips and I'll puff my chest out and do this. What that does, for some reason, it increases confidence, increases testosterone, and it gives you the mindset that you can get out there and do it. I don't know who watches Ted Lasso out there, but the owner of the team, or the manager of the team, she'll do this before she goes into those meetings. She makes herself bigger than she is. And at first you laugh at that, but the more I started studying body language and prepping yourself before you actually take these uncomfortable situations, I realized that they're just communicating another way to prep yourself up before these meetings. Bigger than you actually are. And hey, listen, you're all big out there. Not big size, but you're all big. You're all very big out there. But again, it's telling yourself that you're ready for this, right? Showcasing you're ready for this. All right. So how you show up before you walk in that room, again, how you prep is just as important as you are when you're getting up there giving this presentation. All right. So let's move a little bit forward. Okay. And again, I want you to think about this. Like if even if you don't feel confident walking to a networking event, or you don't feel confident walking into an interview, or you don't feel confident, it doesn't matter. What you project is what people will perceive. That thought of fake it till you make it, that's kind of true. That really is. I mean, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not, but in reality, it kind of is, because you're faking it. You're putting yourself, whether you don't feel 100% confident or not, you're still putting yourself in those roles to show up with that mindset. Okay. So how you project yourself is how people perceive. Okay. So project yourself in confidence. Be a different character, right? The way I am right now, how I teach, how I present, how I coach, how I guide, I'm not like this 24/7. But if I'm trying to communicate something across to a group of people, I have to put on this energetic. I want to communicate because I'm passionate about it. So if you are going for a job interview, or you are going to a networking event, or you are doing this, whether you like it or not, be that character, right? Put on that persona. Try it out. Try out your curiosity tone. You're curious. You're inquisitive. Like, try different things out. Try different openings out. Just try things out till things work with you. All right. So the 3C framework, all right, is what? So the C3 framework is clarity, confidence, and connection. Okay. So clarity. All right. I see this a lot when I work with a lot of service companies, with a lot of, whenever they come up and whenever they do their pitch and all that stuff, they're not very clear with their approach. All right. Whenever I'm at networking events, I say, hey, so what do you do? What kind of role are you in? The answer is not very clear in their response. This was something I was challenged with the first 3 years when I was building my business. Hey, what do you do? Oh, I do this. Well, I kind of do this. Think about kind of who you are and how you can define who you are, right? This is kind of where we're going to kind of get in the elevator pitch exercise that we're going to do here shortly. You must be clear in kind of what you're communicating. And also think about this. Whenever I am talking to someone, or wherever I am trying to communicate, whether it's a pitch, it doesn't matter. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. What kind of conversation do you think that they want from it, right? So if you are a service company, don't go in there, just listen to features that you think is cool, right? Don't list the features that you think will set you apart. Often equate it to an iPhone, right? When you go in, if you give an oil field salesperson a job at the Apple store, they're going to go, oh, hey, what are you in? I'm looking for a new iPhone. Oh man, we have a 13.5 screen. We have a 6.6 megapixel this. We have a 13.3 process and GPU. We list the features. However, doesn't get the job across. At the end of the day, the clarity is being very clear about, maybe even the question, why are you looking for an iPhone, right? What's wrong with an Android? Well, tired of being the green bubble, or I really want a photo where I can a camera where I can take a picture of someone that's running around. It's not blurry. That's the reason why I got an iPhone. So again, being clear with your questions, with your intent, with yourself, right? Confidence. This is something we're talking about, right? This is you taking action despite how nervous you are. This is you putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and accepting the outcome despite how nervous you are, right? And then connection, okay? I think this is the biggest part too. Whenever you are giving a presentation, whenever you are maybe at a job interview, all that stuff, people don't connect on data, right? We're in a world full of data right now that we think data drives decisions or conversations. That is true. It is a very key part of it, right? But people don't connect with data. People connect with stories, right? People connect with a person. So how you connect with someone is very crucial. And this works, for interviews, right? So let's do this. Let's go over, I like doing this thing. I'm gonna go over 2 things that are going to be really helpful to you in your career, okay? The first thing I'm going to go over is story circles, okay? Story circles can be used for whether you're talking to a potential customer, handling objections, or let's talk about job interviews, okay? Let's take job interviews to utilize this thing. And this is kind of This isn't in the workbook I provided, but I do love, because I just learned about this probably about a month ago. So, job interviews, always stressful. We kind of know what they're going to ask, but we kind of know how we want to answer it, yada, yada, all that stuff, right? I'm going to teach you something right now that's going to really help you whenever it's an interview. And honestly, you can pull back it doesn't have to be just for interviews. This could be actually when you're handling objections with a customer. This could be whenever you're maybe communicating the company's why with your team. These are called story circles, okay? So let's take a job interview, okay? Job interviews, they'll probably ask you a couple standard questions: strengths, weaknesses, leadership skills, whenever you handle a budget, doesn't matter, right? Think about, in your career, 5 or 6 stories, okay? Think about 5 or 6 stories where you're either part of a team, led a team, you had to make a decision, you were faced with a challenge, whatever it is, okay? Start jotting stories. And this, again, this takes a little reflection, right? So the answers are going to come to you. So number one, let's pull back a little bit. What questions are they going to ask you in an interview? Leadership skills, maybe? Challenges? Whenever you had to face adversity, maybe? And maybe budget. Sure. Let's just go with that. Let's just say, normally, listen, we don't know the exact question they're going to ask, and they may ask us something way off the wall to see how we think and all that stuff. But majority of interview questions, we can kind of get an idea of what the subjects are going to be. And let's just kind of group it right now into these 4 subjects, okay? I want you to think about times in your career, and I don't care, and I always tell students this, it could be ordering a pizza for a group, right? It doesn't matter the story, okay? Think about a time in your career where you've had to handle certain things, right? Whether it's leadership or budget, it doesn't matter, right? Spill those stories out into the STAR framework. I think a lot of people are familiar with STAR framework. That's the situation. Hey, listen, this is what we were challenged with. This is the task that I was kind of given. This is the action that I took, and these are the results that were had. I do this with students. So let's say students are thinking, I don't have any stories to tell. Hey, bullshit. I think you do have a story, and this is why. So for example, let's say it's ordering food for the meeting, for the seminar, right? Let's say it's the SPE president ordering food for the group, right? I will say this, that is a story. Number one, your situation was you had a big SPE meeting with about 20 people in the room, right? Your task was to feed all of these people utilizing the funds that you allocated and staying below those funds. The action that you took, you looked at Double Days, Papa John's, and Domino's, and you identified the best deal for that thing, right? And the result, you went with Domino's and you were 20% under budget. Boom. That's a story. Ordering pizza. Anything is a story. Anything is a story if you provide context to it. So now, let's take that. The pizza story, okay? So let's take the pizza story. How can we take that one story about that one thing happening and really kind of apply it to maybe all these different, maybe a list of questions that we have to talk about, right? Pizza. Well, here's the wheel. I can actually talk about that pizza story if they ask me a leadership question, right? I could say, man, you could take that story and apply that to a leadership question. Ooh, what if they asked me if I've ever been in a challenging situation before, and what I do to kind of navigate through that? That pizza story could also talk about a challenging situation, right? I was challenged with feeding a group of 20 people, and had different options, right? Adversity, right? Well, man, somebody was allergic to pizza, and I had to do X, Y, Z to kind of navigate that, right? Budget, pizza budget. So this is just one small example of a story wheel. And if you can think of 4 or 5 stories that kind of you can answer the idea of what questions they're going to ask, you're going to do much more better. You're going to do better in the interview because, again, you know how to tell the stories through these STAR things. And all you're doing, you're telling personal stories and you're just tying it into these questions. So these story circles is just a great, easy tool to use. That way you're not just guessing on your feet. That way you're not second guessing yourself. That way you're not thinking, ooh, am I telling this story right? You've already practiced it, right? You've already learned, practiced, and rehearsed this, right? It's a skill set. So you're learning how to tell your story, okay? take these story circles and start putting applications to it, right? Whether it's for job interviews or whether it's for giving a presentation, right? The stories that you tell will drive people and influence people, connect with people. So if you can tell your stories, and again, if you're looking for a new role and you have job interviews coming up, think about some key pillars of questions that they ask and really start thinking about stories on how to actually kind of tell your story that fit those pillars, that answer those questions, right? All right. How are we doing right now, everyone? Are we doing pretty good? Any questions? Anything you kind of want to go off me on a tangent a little bit with, or you want to wait till the end? You tell me. This is for you. This is not for me. Remember that, all right? This is all for you out there. Okay, all right. So let's do the the elevator pitch. Elevator pitches. So when I work with students, their elevator pitch is very different than I work with professionals, right? So for professionals, I'm going to keep this high level. I'm going to keep this very simple. It really is an easy way to kind of say what you do. It starts off with who? Who do you help? Who do you provide value to? Who do you assist? Who, right? Who do you help? What do you help them with, right? How? How do you help them? And here's an added bonus. And I'll explain why that's an added bonus. All right, hold on. So let's say you're in sales, and I say this is one of those things where I want you to practice your elevator pitch. And the reason why I want to practice your elevator pitch, because every time you say it, it comes out differently. I don't care who you are, it comes out always differently. But the more comfortable you are kind of spitballing it and kind of practicing it, flowing from your tongue, the easier it's going to be in social situations. How often are you at HEB, or how often are you at a social setting when someone says, hey, what do you do? And you just give them your title, right? That doesn't say anything. You know what else you sound like? You sound like everybody else, all right? I have another story too about the power of soft skills, right? Before I kind of go off on this, right? How important are soft skills? Well, ExxonMobil was looking for an intern and all that stuff. There was a lot of interns, a lot of great resumes, a lot of great GPAs and all that stuff. They hired someone with a subpar GPA because her ability to influence and communicate. He said that her soft skills set her above everyone else, and that's what set her apart. So how do you differentiate yourself when people ask, so what do you do? This is an easy way to do it. Who do you help? Well, I help drilling engineers. What do I help them with? I help them with their permitting, right? I help them speed up their permitting. By, 20 hours. I help drilling engineers speed up their permitting process probably up to 20 hours a week. I do that by utilizing our AI tool, Permit Hog. Call it whatever. It doesn't matter. Call it whatever. I help drilling engineers speed up their permitting about 20 hours a week with our tool called, Permit Hog. And honestly, just so they can kind of spend time with their families or get home to their son's T-ball or spend time on doing stuff they want to work on, spend time drilling wells, right? So who do you help? What do you help them? How do you help them so they can do what? Tying it in so what they can do connects what you do to the end person, the end goal, all right? So who, what, and how, all right? And I ask you, one simple way to kind of like to check yourself is whenever you do start kind of writing, okay, who do I help? How do I help them? Who do I help? What do I help them with? How do I help them? And so they can do what? Once you start kind of jotting that down, there's a workbook you'll have, start practicing. Actually, start recording yourself. So again, film yourself, deliver it. And when you are filming yourself, look at yourself and judge yourself, critique yourself. Are you speaking slowly? Are you saying it in a way that's kind of brings people in? Or are you just kind of delivering your line like this? I help drilling engineers save 20 hours a week so they can do that. No, you want to be engaging. You don't want to be, it shouldn't be rehearsed. It should come out naturally. Are you utilizing pauses? Is it clear to you? Is it clear to other people? A lot of times we're so in the weeds with what we do. And I see this with a lot of founders of companies and business owners that they're so in the weeds with what they do that they don't break off and actually kind of understand, wait a minute, does this make sense to anyone else out there? That's why there's so many service companies out there with the same message, right? Oh, cost efficient, increase productivity, cost efficient, all that stuff. Because they're so in the weeds of what they do, there's a lot of people that aren't in the weeds. So is it clear? Is it, remember, clarity, confidence, connection? Is it clear enough for people to actually understand what you do without you actually without them just like glossing over their eyes like, okay, that's neat, right? So again, differentiate yourself by being more effective at your elevator pitch. And I say practice your elevator pitch whenever. And people say, whenever I go to these networking events, let's talk about kind of how to build your network, right? Let's talk about these networking events real quick, because I think we're kind of coming up on time, and I really do want to talk about building a network that works for you. Okay, because this is the thing that I think that's very important. Okay, another example. Yes. So another example of the elevator pitch. That's what you're asking for? Sure. Okay. Let's take, what's your role? Ali, if you don't mind chiming in. What role do you do? We'll try to kind of workshop something. We'll do it live. We'll try to workshop something for you. Or someone else chime in. What's another role that someone else does? That's why I wish I could see everyone, right? Risk engineer. Okay, so who do you help? So we're doing a live thing right now. I don't know if anyone can see this on the screen, but we want to do another example right now, and we're going to try to help someone that's tuning in right now. So Ali, NASA programs, love this. Okay, so you help NASA programs. You help risk engineers do what? How NASA programs? I'm not familiar with. So if you can answer who you help, what you help them with, how you help them, you want to chime that in so we can tie that in. If not, I'll just come up with a different. Oh, you're a risk engineer at NASA. Okay. So I don't know who you. I'm not familiar with risk engineer, but let's take a different engineer. Okay, that I'm more familiar with. Okay, let's take a production engineer. Production engineer is an oil and gas industry that ensures that hydrocarbons are kind of flowing at the right rates at the right times to increase the life of the well. So I'm going to take a production engineer potentially, right? Who am I? Or who do I help? I help. So let's say I'm a production manager, right? I help my team of production engineers All right. I'm a production manager working at an oil and gas company. About a 25-second delay from post to live stream. I love it, Omar. I love it. Okay. All right. We'll appreciate that. All right. So I'm a production manager. All right. So if someone asks, hey, so JP, who are you? Well, I'm a production manager over at Company X. I help my team make the best decisions that they can possibly make to make sure that their wells kind of stay online, the most active. And I do that properly by kind of delegating kind of the decisions of the company. And also I spearhead a lot of the technology and chemical components to the production side of space. That way my team can focus on the task at hand versus kind of getting sidetracked. So you see kind of like I talked about kind of who I help, how I help them, and kind of how, what do I do in the weeds with them so they can do what, right? So I help my team make the best decisions for productions. I do that by delegating to the right, hiring the right people, delegating decisions to the right people. And also I'm spearheading a lot of the tech reviews. That way they can stay online and not really kind of go off. All right, Sean says, I help I help medium-sized business, oil and gas, bring visibility and control to their organizations, deploying AI dashboards, data pipelines, and tech deployments so customers can control and grow the business efficiently. Deploying AI dashboards, data pipelines, and tech deployment. Okay, I like this. I would say this. If you are out there working on your elevator pitch, try to steer clear from industry buzzwords. I don't care if you're at NASA. I don't care if you're in oil and gas. I don't care if you're in construction. There's a lot of industry buzzwords. Again, Sean, I love this. I dig this. I'm glad you put this out there. But I would be, again, cautious about just utilizing, because a lot of people, whenever they are given, like I see a lot of teams, for example, they start talking about their companies, and there's a lot of regurgitation of cost efficiencies, productivity, increase efficiencies, reduce whatever, all that stuff. I would say kind of steer clear from industry buzzwords, because once you start talking like a pamphlet or a brochure, you kind of go in the mind, you kind of click into the mind of who you're talking to as a salesperson or just someone kind of trying to get a pitch. It's not really natural. If there's a way to maybe saying, hey, listen, I help medium-sized operators in oil and gas kind of bring a lot of whatever it's guardrails or control to the control on what though? That's the thing. Control to the organization. You need to define control. What is control? Control to what? Control to their data, control to whatever. So again, Sean, you and I could sidebar this and work on this. Deploying AI dashboards, data pipelines, and tech deployment. Again, that sounds very broad. Everyone want to humanize kind of what we do. Again, we're not a brochure, we're a human being. So customers can control and grow their business efficiently. I mean, I like that, but how? So that means they can focus on the task at hand to grow. That means they can work on the business, not in the business. Sean, I like this. This is a great first start, and I'll definitely dive in the weeds with you if you want to sidebar after this 100%. But yeah, so this is one of those things where it's like we have so much to say, what we want to do, but if you can, again, keep it clear, simplify that message, and really communicate that goes over a lot easier too. And a lot of times you have to understand this, people really don't communicate on that industry jargon level. People communicate on that 5th grade level. So tie it into people on how they receive and they communicate. So I want to talk about building your network. Everyone needs help building their networks right now. I don't care who you are. I want to talk about moving it past our industry right now, or a lot of industry, transactional. And what is transactional? That's what can you do for me? What can I do for you? Oh, I can't do anything? All right, I'll move on to the next person. Our industry has been plagued, and a lot of industries are plagued by transactional conversations, transactional discussions. That is, what can you do for me right now? If you can't do anything, I'm out. That does not benefit anyone, and honestly, that just you're just not going to make movements in any industry in your career path. You have to move past the transactional conversations to more the genuine level, right? To more the authentic level. And we're going to talk about how to do that right now. All right, we're going to get rid of this transactional BS. And honestly, that's why people's networks have gone down so much. Nobody likes being sold to. No one likes being pitched to. And think about that. As professionals, how often do we know that we don't like a certain human behavior, but yet when we step in our professional role shoes, we just take on the behavior that we don't like, right? Whether it's being pitching people or selling people or really kind of cramming this stuff, we don't try to connect with them on a genuine level. We're always staying up here, right? And what happens when we're up here? You know who else is up at the transactional level? Everybody else. How do you differentiate? How do you separate yourself? Get down to that genuine level of connection, okay? So when it comes to your networks, you have to think about it like a pie chart, okay? This is the time to be I remember, early in our career, everyone's career is go out and meet whoever you can, come home with a stack of cards that sits on your desk that collects dust you do nothing with. Let's start being a little bit more intentional with our actions, a little more mindful of our who we're trying to meet, who we're trying to connect with. So need, should, want. Surround yourself with people, 1/3 of people that you need to be around, 1/3 of people that you should be around, and 1/3 of people that you want to be around. And what does that look like? So whenever I tell students, like, okay, when I'm giving this example to college universities, right? Who do you need to be around? Well, you probably need to be around, let's say you're an engineer, you want to be a drilling engineer. You probably need to be around, actually, you probably need to be around your classmates, right? People at your schools, people you used to intern with, maybe at previous companies or previous schools and all that stuff. So really building your foundation of people that are kind of in similar stratosphere as you, right? And who should you be around? Well, you probably should be around drilling engineers or completions engineers, the people that you kind of want to work under them or learn that role, right? So you should probably be around finding some engineers. And who do you want to be around? Well, you probably want to be around some recruiters. You probably want to be around some people that actually place people in roles, right? So think about you maybe as a professional, right? Who do I need to be around, right? I probably need to be around, VPs, leaders of company, if I want to go in there and kind of consult, train, work with their groups for exposure, work with the groups with communication and messaging, right? That's probably who I need to be around. Who should I be around? I probably should be around a lot of various different service people, anyone from, the sales manager to the salesman, all that stuff. That way they can create advocacy for me. So maybe I can actually get that meeting with that person I'm trying to get meeting, right? And who I want to be around? I want to be around people that inspire me. I want to be around people that, when I am just fed up with kind of this entrepreneurial journey, building a plane, jumping off a cliff and figuring out how to build a plane on the way down, I need to be around people that inspire me, that people that motivate me, not the people that bring me down. So thinking about who you need to be around, really kind of writing this down, putting some extra steps into kind of who you need, want, and should be around can really help clarify you building your network. Now, let's talk about this, networking events, right? So networking events, what are they? They're a disaster. It's a room full of hundreds of people that, oh, great, I got to have this small talk BS. I don't know how to do small talk. I got to get a card. Here's my pitch. Here's what I got to say. Scrap all that. First thing first, what do we just talk about? Do the box breathing. Get yourself prepped up before you walk in that room. First off, box breathe, all right? It'll calm your heart rate down, build confidence. The second thing you do, start telling yourself a different story. Hey, listen, I don't like small talk. I don't like going in and talking to people. Half the time it's usually a financial advisor I don't need. I don't like networking events, period. Change how you talk to yourself. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go there. I'm going to enjoy this experience. I'm not going to take this too serious. And I'm going to walk away with a lot of great connections, right? And honestly, if I get in a conversation too long, I'm going to excuse myself so I can work the room. This is a game to me, right? So before you even walk in that room, reframe your thought. Now, when you walk in that room, obviously you want to project confidence, shoulders back, look the room, smile. It's crazy. Smile when you start talking to people, be engaged when you're talking to people, use the curiosity, concern, confusion, confident tones whenever you are talking to someone. And so usually I always say this, avoid the stupid questions. Avoid the questions that make you sound like everybody else. I started a networking company. It's not a networking company. It's a networking group. And in over 4 years, we've gone from 8 individuals at our first event. Now we have about all in, we built our networks to over 1,400 different professionals in this industry, which is impressive. But how is that done? That's done through not having the same conversations that everyone else is having, right? How often you go to a networking event and someone has the same BS conversation with you that you might have had with someone else or that you're about to have with someone else, right? It's always, hey, how you doing? What do you do? Where do you work? Oh, yeah. And then you start kind of going on a tangent about football or whatever BS like that, the comfort zones, right? I say break past that, and this is how you do that. Okay. So number one, also the good part about this, you don't have to be an extrovert to be really good at networking. And I'm going to explain why. All right. First step is scrap these. How you doing? And where do you work? Away from your vocab. You're not saying that anymore. I challenge you not to say that. The second thing I challenge you to do throughout every day, even today, start small talk. Start engaging in small talk with people and be intentional about it, right? Whether you're at the line at HEB or whether you are standing wherever you are, different parents and picking up your kids at school, start engaging in small talk. And the whole point of this is to engage in small talk, try to get one piece of information, some personal information from that other person. And I'll explain why. All right. Once you get that, actually, no, I'll explain why shortly. So how do you small talk, right? let me just write that information piece down so I don't forget. So how do you have these small talk conversations? Where do you even start? How do you even go? So I think there's no silver bullet to this, which is the beautiful part. But you do have to be prepared for this. All right. Whenever I go into a networking event and try this trick out, this is for you. For example, let's say it's Petroleum Club of Houston. I'm up there at 35 floors high and all that stuff. Rather than say, hey, so what do you do? Where do you work and all that stuff? I will go on a different direction. I will go with a common ground, something we all hate, right? I will say something like, man, do you have to deal with traffic on the way here? And it's either yes or no, right? People say, oh, don't use closed-ended questions. I think it's kind of like soliciting at a house. You have to knock on the door and say, hey, are you the homeowner? Yes or no? Then you can kind of get into it. Hey, so common ground is, hey, were you stuck in traffic on the way here? Yes, no. Perfect. Boom. Then you can kind of navigate from there. So once I have that answer, once I already set up my first question that I had prepared, a prepared question, then I can kind of be curious and learn about that person. Because at the end of the day, you're out there to network to learn about people versus just to kind of give that transactional BS. So whenever I do find out whether they're stuck in traffic, I'm like, man, that sucks. Usually people hate traffic. Man, that sucks. What do you do when you're in traffic? Are you a podcast? Are you a book guy? Are you a book guy? Are you a music person? What do you like getting into? So number one, let's say they mentioned podcasts. Great. Well, what kind of podcasts are you into? No, I've never heard of that. You start learning what kind of podcasts are in. And again, well, what's the best way to ask them? Just be curious. If you're curious and you're active listening and you have this away, you have your cell phone away, and you're really involved in that person, you don't have to think about what to say, right? You're just asking questions. Whenever you do kind of get at a place where like, I don't know where to go with this, ask a question about them. Whenever you're asking questions about the other person, and this is crazy. So as humans, we release endorphins whenever we're talking about ourselves, okay? It's the craziest thing. I could be in a conversation with someone and ask them 4 questions. They could talk for 30 minutes. They could walk away being like, that was a great conversation with JP. I don't really, why? But I really like that guy. Why? Because I was asking about them. What excites them? What motivates them? What challenges they're faced with right now? I'm talking about them. When people talk about themselves, that releases those endorphins, all right? So talk about them. Whenever you get to a stuck point, ask them questions about their role, okay? All right. So once I learn what type of podcasts they're in, why they like that podcast or this, or why the music. Oh, what was the last concert? Have you ever seen them in concert? What was the last concert you went to? Or a book. Well, what books do you usually read or listen to in your car? What's been your favorite one? I'm really looking for some new ideas. Like, what do you have? Start finding out little pieces of information from people. This is where you kind of get to the genuine networking side of things, right? All the conversations might start transactional, but if you tie it in, this is the beautiful part right here. Okay, this is the art of following up. Once you get that piece of information, whether it's traffic and they hate traffic and they listen to podcasts and all that stuff, this is where you get their information and this is where you continue the conversation. You continue to build that bridge. You know, we are in such a rushed world right now. A lot of salespeople lose the sale because the timing sucks. Their timing is horrible. They rush the sale. So the first piece, once you get that information, so let's say they're really diving into being, skeptics about AI, right? Oh, I've been, really diving on the skeptics of AI. What's going to happen with AI once it starts doing this? Once you understand kind of one piece of information, that personal piece of information, this is why you need to practice your small talk to get personal information. Once you find that out, you can follow up with them with simply that, right? Hey, Jim, really great talking to you at the Petroleum Club of Houston today. I got, I don't know if you remember me, we were talking about kind of the podcast to listen to about, John Smith doing that podcast about, being a skeptic on AI. I actually listened to another great podcast I think you may enjoy. And here it is. Boom, send them a link. All you're doing is continuing the conversation, building that bridge of commonality, right? You listen to them, you connected on the AI podcast, and all you're doing is sharing more information, right? That way, what you're doing, you're not coming across as someone who just wants that transaction, right? You're coming across as someone that's very genuine, that's, hey, listen, I really enjoyed the conversation. Let's further this a little bit, right? So boom, you drop something about the podcast, right? That's all you have to do, right? Just continue the conversation. Do that 2 or 3 times and all that stuff. Next thing you know, you meet for a cup of coffee, okay? And when you have that cup of coffee, whether they're a customer you're trying to sell to or whether there's somebody trying to get a job with, it's obvious that the reason's probably why you're there is you probably kind of either need help with something or you can help them with something, right? But don't get in that yet. Remember, it's a slow thing. Relationships take time, okay? So once you get that information, you send it to them about the podcast, follow up with a cup of coffee, really just kind of learn more about why they maybe got into that. What fascinates about that? Then you just kind of start talking. Hey, does that really relate to your job? How's that relate to this? What's the culture there? Like, you just kind of start asking, again, building that genuine connection, right? And now, whether it's the third, fourth time, or fifth time, it doesn't matter. That's when you kind of start getting into more the business transaction, the business conversations, whether it's a job, whether it's a pitch, or what, it doesn't matter. I always say don't pitch, but I'm just kind of going loosely saying kind of the end goal. So as you're building it, just when you're focused on the first 2 or 3 steps of building those bridges and building those common themes, those common bonds of conversation, start doing that, because from that, you're going to learn a lot more about that person. You're going to understand more what makes them tick. From that, it just helps you. And again, it's one of those things, you don't have to do this. You don't have to stay in touch with people in your network on a weekly basis. It's just if something pops over your desk, you're like, oh my gosh, Chad was talking about this. I'm going to send that to Chad to kind of keep this going. So continue the conversations. Again, when you go in, have 2 or 3 questions ready to go, right? Ready to kind of start having a conversation. Some people just might be closed off, but asking questions about someone always helps. And again, one way to release dopamine is ask them something that they're excited about. Hey, what are you working on that's exciting? Hey, this industry sucks right now. Give me something positive you're working on. I could really go for some good news. Hey, it's my first networking event here. Did you come to the last one? Oh, this is my first one. What did you get out of the last one? What did you like about it? Oh, what's been your favorite when you've attended? So you see where we can go from, I don't know why I just did that, but you see where we can go from there? Just by being curious, you can carry on conversations much more in depth than other people can. All right, just by being curious. All right, so when you are following up, again, I talked about that. And what else? Oh, yes, okay. So let's say you do walk into a networking event and you're there by yourself. There's 3 ways you go to networking events. Number 1, you go by yourself and you stand in the corner. You stand on the wall, you're kind of uncomfortable, you don't want to talk to anyone, but hey, you win. Boom, check. The second thing you do is maybe grab a buddy from work, grab a colleague, and go together, right? And either you can probably just stand together and really not work the room. That's fine, but you still win. Good for you. The third way is go there with a buddy, with a friend, and get involved, right? Open up groups, walk to groups, and just introduce yourselves. And one way to do that, how do I open it? How do I talk to a group? The easiest way to talk to a group is think about this. If you were in a group with someone, how would you want someone to come into your group and kind of join the group? A simple way is just kind of introduce, hey, it's JP, I don't know anyone here. Y'all seem like a very interesting group. I just kind of hear what you're talking about. I think it'd be interesting to join this conversation if you don't mind until my friends get here or until my colleague gets here, something like that. 99 out of 100 times, they're going to say, join the group, right? And you're going to join the group and it's going to be very friendly and cordial, right? But be confident about that. But I will say this, whenever you do join the group, this is where you need that elevator pitch ready, because they're going to ask you, hey, so JP, tell me about yourself. Hey, tell me about this. You have to be willing to you have to be willing. You have to be willing and able to answer that question with confidence. Then have 2 or 3 questions always in your back pocket, ready to ask people in these networking events, okay? Whether, hey, what are you working on is enjoyable? Have you read about whatever? It doesn't matter. Have 2 or 3 questions to start conversations and have 2 or 3 questions whenever there's that quiet moment in the conversation, that lull, you want to kind of continue the conversation. If you need to break the conversation, let's say you've been talking to the same person for 25 minutes and you're like, man, I really got to talk to that person on the other side of the corner. It's okay to say, hey, listen, I'd love to continue this conversation later, but I really kind of want to go meet this person over here. That's kind of what I'm trying to meet. But hey, let's continue this conversation later and get their contact information. All right. Let's see. What am I not touching on? Yeah. So listen, everything we're going over right now, these are skill sets. How you talk to yourself, and actually, I think this is probably one of the biggest superpowers out there. How you talk to yourself, and if you're being your own personal coach and really rooting for yourself, greatly changes your energy before you walk in and out of any uncomfortable situation, okay? I always say, put yourselves in uncomfortable situations, challenge yourselves, all right? And be okay with the outcome. Nobody in this world is perfect. Nobody in this world, it doesn't matter if you think someone up there is giving a great presentation, they love doing it. Chances are they might be nervous as well, but they're accepting the outcome. So you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you. Keep showing up, all right? And then another thing, kind of wrapping this all up, think about having intentional conversations. Think about better questions. Think about more curious questions to ask. In reality, this is one of those things where it's like we're all so frustrated and held back by the constant volatile market we're in, the world we're in right now. But if we take some accountability and intentionality on what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish, it's just going to unfold a lot much more easier for you. And I say practice this. Practice your elevator pitch. Just do it when you're brushing your teeth. Do it in your car. I often, what's kind of cool? Utilize ChatGPT or Grok if you have to make a sales call, or you have to make a cold call. Hey, listen, I'm about to make a cold call. Can you act like you're a potential customer, and you're really fine with who you're using, or you think our cost is too high? I want to work on this. So practice your communication, practice your skill sets, identify one area in your professional growth where if you applied a little more energy and effort, you think you could probably kind of make some movement that way, right? Whether that's building your network, whether that's again, aligning yourself and kind of reaching out to people at companies, just kind of learning about their career. Again, I don't like keep saying again. That's my filler word. Again, I just did it. It's a skill set. I'm learning, practicing. I'm not mastered yet, obviously. So how we talk to ourselves, how we show up, the questions that we ask, and maintaining curiosity. All right. I see a lot of salespeople and I see a lot of leaders lead with a very flat monotone, not communicating their why, their reasoning, and communicating on the genuine level. Get past the transactional conversations, further the conversations through areas of interest before you even start talking about work. Okay. That is all I have right now. I will say this. I do have a podcast, Lead with Confidence podcast, and I'm starting to think about launching a Lead with Confidence monthly community where you can kind of come in and we learn different skill sets as the year goes on, from crucial conversations to imposter syndrome to negotiations to whatever that is. So I'm thinking about kind of putting a community like that together. If you are interested in that, reach out to me. And once, I'm probably thinking start of 2026. Can't believe this year is almost over. But I see a lot of teams, a lot of individuals right now kind of feeling like they're helpless and powerless in the water, but you're not. Work on your skill sets, work on your communication. And at the end of the day, reach out. We're not alone, but we often feel like we are. Reach out to other people, and whether it's for help, whether it's for support, or whether it's just, hey, listen, I want a cup of coffee. I just want to strategize and talk about ideas with you. So get out there, practice, work on your skill sets. And again, thank you for tuning in. And if I'm going to leave this open, if anyone has any questions they kind of want to chime in, I'm available. Well, I hope, honestly, I do this so much. I always feel like I'm rambling. I always feel like I'm not hitting on some key points, but I hope I am. I hope I'm all this stuff, even if it's the small stuff like talking to yourself optimistically. Like I'll find myself in the car. Some days I'm driving into town and then I start kind of spiraling out of my mind. I start thinking negative thoughts. Man, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. This doesn't work. I'll shut the music off and I will actually roll up my windows and I will talk to myself. And if people pass me, I'll probably look like a freaking idiot. But I'm like, JP, you got this. You're going to crush it, dude. Who gives a shit? You're going to go for it. Try practicing that. All right. It will change the energy and how you walk into rooms and how you show up. All right. I want to thank you, everyone out there again. I think we got this. We got this together, and it's rocky waters, but the more connected we are, the more stability will come in this volatile market. So thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I hope it helped. And if you want to sidebar with me with your elevator pitch, please, my email. Let's. I don't mind working on that with the group. We said this is free training. I don't want you to walk away curious about something. So if I can help out at all a little bit, please let me know. I like doing this stuff. I like helping y'all out there. Omar, I love you, buddy. I can't wait to see you on the mats in jiu-jitsu. Jeremy, love you too, brother. Get Omar on the mats in jiu-jitsu. All right, y'all. Y'all be good. I will talk to you later. And let me know if I can help out in any way.